When you think of inclusion in the workplace, what comes to mind? To me, it's competitive edge, evolving solutions, a way to connect with your customers, and a strategy to improve overall business performance. Welcome to Spectrum Inclusion, a website dedicated to not only highlighting the full spectrum of benefits of inclusion, but also a best practices guide for your business. This website doesn't lay out the exact steps. After all, the possibilities for developing an inclusive work environment are as diverse as your potential employee population. Rather, this is intended to be a website to accelerate your brainstorming to help you strategize and soon enough implement. This website was built upon over 6 months of research. It incorporates research not only from credible literary resources, trade press and news articles, but also from interviews with 6 inclusion leaders in the corporate world. I'd like to walk you through the website quickly. It starts with some guidelines, like what does it mean to have an inclusive work environment, in particular, an inclusive work environment for individuals with disabilities. Then we get to the glue of an inclusive culture, strategy. Without an integrated communications plan to have a broad and meaningful impact across business, you won't get very far. After all, inclusion is not a department, it's not an office down the hall, it's your values, your behavior, it's your culture. The benefits of it are that you can leverage inclusion to improve business performance. People like to work with people with disabilities, consumers are more inclined to purchase from you, and it demonstrates that the company is forward-thinking and forever evolving. And did I mention it's not nearly as expensive as people assume? Let's take it a step further and focus in on hiring individuals with autism. Consider the value of hiring high performers who can enhance your products and services in ways you never even imagined. Then explore ways to break the barriers. Communications are everything, and integrating your message in dynamic and meaningful ways will educate your audiences, be it your employees, your customers, your community, or the world. Read here to see how to go global with your messaging and demystify diversity. Then consider what it takes to get started. Look at your recruitment practices and evaluate how you can add or modify existing channels to speak specifically to a population, say someone with autism. I'm particularly a fan of the extended interview model. Disclosure is sensitive and requires an open approach. Employees should know it's their decision if they'd like to disclose or not, and they should also know that by disclosing, your company will provide them with anything and everything they need to fulfill their potential. After all, isn't that why you hired them in the first place? Inclusion promotes high performance. Taking that a step further, inclusion means more than just hiring. It means cultivating an environment where people feel like their needs and interests are relevant to the company. Take a look at the variety of communication channels listed here, and most importantly, consider how you can integrate internal networks to keep the conversations alive. Just like any other strategy you develop for business, you know the value of being results-oriented. Here are guidelines for how to develop your inclusion objectives to determine if your efforts are reaching your inclusion goals. After that, remember that you're not alone, and there are a wide variety of expert partners who can support your goals. Here you'll find a list of recommended partners from my interviews with corporate leaders. Here you'll find a breakdown of different kinds of resources, and here you'll learn about key partners like the USBLN, who can provide you with plenty of additional resources. And don't forget, inclusion is all about keeping the conversation alive. So here's a blog with tips, ideas, research, and more for you to think about, comment on, disagree with, or elaborate. This information is no longer mine, it's ours. And finally, you can read about me if you'd like to better understand my background. You can also see a reference guide. The website is peppered with citations as a way for you to see additional resources that I found particularly helpful in my research. Then, if you have any comments or would like to learn more, you know I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for exploring, and more importantly, thanks for taking an interest in developing your inclusion strategy in your business.